Hey, I'd like to introduce myself. My name's Dennis Keys. I'm a tutor at the Boppoly Polytechnic, and I'd like to introduce you to a machine called the surface planer. The surface planer itself, it's used for dressing timber and also straightening timber. The first thing I'm going to emphasise is whenever you're using any of the machines in the workshop, you need to wear the appropriate PPE. And for this machine, there happens to be some earmuffs and some safety glasses. The other thing that I need to show you is obviously any machine has a guard system, and these guards should be used at all times. This particular guard is called a bridge guard. Bridge guard because it bridges over the planer blades. If we want to start this machine, we need to first of all get a dust extraction system going, because we need to get rid of all the waste material that the planer is creating. First of all, we have to make sure that the vent over here is open. Pull that open. And then we have to turn the extractor system on. So the green switch is for the extractor fan to switch it on. And if you need to switch it off, push the red button. Once we've turned the extractor system on, then we can actually start the machine itself. Okay, and that's done through these two switches down here. Grey switch is in the start position, but the machine isn't going. The green switch up here will turn the machine on. Once the machine has got up to speed, then switch the grey switch around to run. And that's when you'll operate the machine. When you want to turn the machine off, push the red button here. As I said, this machine is used for planing material. And normally when you plane a piece of timber, which I've got over here, we normally wouldn't take more than 2 millimetres of timber off at a time. You don't want to overwork the machine. Although this is quite a big machine, it's best to work with that policy, 2 mils at a time. If we were going to straighten a piece of timber, for instance, I would look down the timber to make sure that I had the bowed side, which is the side with the curve on it, okay, the bow up. Okay, so technically it's touching at this end and at this end, and there's a gap in the middle. So the idea is keep your hands well away. As you're feeding the piece of timber over the planer blades, push the timber through till it gets pretty much over the halfway point. Once you get over the halfway point, you can actually take your hand over, because the bridge guard's protecting you here from the blades, and carry on the operation. Once you get to about 2/3 of the way, maybe 3/4 of the way through the timber, you need to get this particular item here called a push stick. You push it, you put it on the end, and then you can push the timber through and finish the complete operation. Okay, you would have noticed as the timber went through, you could hear that the planer blades were making contact with the timber at the start and at the finish, but it was making contact in the, when the timber was going over the middle area. And you can see here where the planer has taken the timber off here, and at the bottom, nothing in the middle, and that's because of that bow. Okay, so to be able to straighten the timber, I need to continue that until all of the timber has been planed. Once all of the face has been planed, then I have a straight piece of timber. Okay, if I was wanting to straighten both the timber both ways, so in other words this way as well as that way, what I actually need to do is I need to always straighten my widest face first. Once I straighten my widest face, so in other words when the timber's laying flat, okay, once that's straight, I can then put that straightened face against the fence here on this side, hold it against the fence, and straighten my timber on the edge. That creates a nice right angle, and I have a perfectly straight piece of timber on 2 faces. Once we've established that, we can then take this timber to another machine called a thicknesser to be able to dress up the other 2 sides. Okay, so we talk about dressing timber. What does dressing timber mean? What it means is timber can come to us from sawmills, and it's basically come as a rough sawn. Rough sawn is when it's been put through saw blades but hasn't actually been put through big planers like this. So you can see the surface here, it's very, very rough. So what we want to try and do is we want to try and make that nice and smooth, and that's known as dressing the timber. It's also known as planer gauged.